Hi, this is Scott with Owens Aviation here in Denton, Texas. I'm here today to show you this 1968 Beech 36 Bonanza. Let's take a look at it. Well, let's talk a little bit about the airplane and some of the options that have been added to this aircraft since it was new. Of course, this is a 68 36, 6-place cabin and double doors in the back. 285 IO 520 Continental engine, and originally had a 2-blade propeller. Now since then this aircraft's been modified quite a bit. We've got a dual Ray J turbocharging system in here, and this is pretty much a turbo system that's used as needed. The engine basically operates as it normally would. As you run out of manifold pressure, you can increase it by opening up the turbos. So it's a manual wastegate that you control. Therefore, the engine's, for the most part, operating non-turbocharged most of the time. That really helps with wear and tear, fuel consumption, heat, those sorts of things. In fact, this engine that's in this current airplane has been converted to a TSIO 520 when this was all done years ago. The TBO on that engine is actually 1,400 hours, whereas the original 520 was 1,700. So, keeping in mind that the TSIO 520 is a 100% always turbocharged engine, they had a lower TBO. If you were to look at this, it would be a little more reasonable to expect this engine to run at the normal 1,700 hour TBO that a regular IO 520 operates to. Should do that without a whole lot of trouble. That's strictly up to you and how you operate it and how much you're using the turbo. The turbocharger system was gone through back in 2006 and is in excellent condition, works fine. Now here you can see the engine compartment and the turbocharger system we're talking about. This is the left side turbo, another one just like it over on the right. And also this engine's been converted to the Millennium cylinders 516 hours ago. One of the other conversions done to this aircraft has been the removal of the 2-blade prop it originally came with, installation of a 3-blade Macaulay propeller. This will help with performance and also reduce the noise considerably. And the last mod we have here are the 30-gallon Britain tip tanks. These are fiberglass tanks, 15 gallons a side, and they have both a sight gauge here on the side of the tank that are visible from the cockpit, as well as electric fuel gauges inside the aircraft. And these are real simple to operate. The main tanks remain the same. There's no additional valves in there. All you're really doing is burning off fuel out of your mains until you can accommodate the 15 gallons per side. You throw a switch in there that pumps it electrically into the main. So the fuel management is very simple. Now the glass has been upgraded with the Burl de Shannon one-piece windshield, as well as the side glass, which gives you the frameless vent window. And the second row windows open for ventilation, and they're in pretty good shape. Now another thing I'd like to show you on this aircraft is the paint. This paint was completed back in 1998 by Poplawski in Ennis, Texas. And if you know Beech, you know Poplawski. There is no better. It's still in excellent condition, high gloss, no chips, abrasion. You'd think it was done 3 years ago. Really looks good. Now that we've taken a look on the outside, let's take a look inside here. As I said, this is the 36. It's extended cabin. Double doors back here. This allows for 6-place, as you can see, all forward facing in this particular year model. In later models, they went to a club seating arrangement. Actually, a lot of people will flip those seats around and face forward in those club seated airplanes because a lot of the passengers have trouble riding backwards. They get sick. It also gives you more room because you've got this entire area back here for baggage if you go to a 4-place configuration. Now these seats can be just folded up and out of the way and secured with a strap, or you can just simply remove them and you've got a really good sized baggage compartment for 4 people. There's a couple other points I'd like to make about the turbo system and the tip tanks. The Ray J turbo system gives us a service ceiling now of 21,000 feet. And the current useful load on the aircraft is 1,284 pounds. Now, Burl to Shannon for an additional $800 will give us an STC that will raise the useful load to 1,476 pounds. Now let's take a look at the radios. Now I'd like to show you the avionics. We'll start with the pilot side of the panel. Let me get the yoke out of the way here. Okay, the aircraft's equipped with the KFC 200 autopilot flight director system. Consists of a full 3-axis autopilot, flight director with command bars, and horizontal situation indicator, KCS 55A, slaved HSI. If you're not that familiar with the flight director, let me kind of show you how it works. We'll turn it on, and the command bars come alive. And basically, we'll go into a heading mode, and I'll move the heading bug off, and the command bar commands you to turn to follow and intercept the heading bug to the right, and then back to the left. Same if I go into nav, it'll follow the nav to get you back on course. It's just guidance for you when you're hand flying the aircraft. It also handles the pitch for vertical speed, altitude, and it will couple up to the approach and fly the glide slope as well. We have a standby attitude indicator here, just as a backup in case you lose the vacuum-driven gyro here. The Garmin GPS GNS 430 runs the nav indicator here on the HSI, and the SL30Com has its own indicator over here, also with glide slope, so you have dual glide slopes. Now the GPS is WAS, so that also gives you vertical guidance on the number 1, so you can do the WAS approaches. And just some other things over here, we have a digital Davtron clock, along with your standard flight instruments, and a digital voltage indicator here. This is the control for the HSI. If it happens to go, that the compass system goes bad, you can set it manually, rotate it left and right there. Normally it's in that position. And here in the center we've got your manifold pressure, fuel flow, TAC as usual. And then we've added the JPI EDM 700 engine monitor and fuel totalizer all in one combined unit. Now this system has a 6 Pro BGT CHT, battery voltage, and a fuel totalizer. So it'll show you there fuel remaining, required, and fuel in reserve, miles per gallon, hours and minutes remaining, and gallons per hour in tenths of a gallon. It's very accurate, and it's real nice to keep track of your fuel since you've got 4 fuel tanks, and this basically keeps track of what you've actually burned, not necessarily what the tanks are indicating. So that's a pretty accurate system, and it is also tied into the GPS to give you fuel calculations to the active waypoint. Well, that's the end of part 1. We'll continue with the right side of the panel and the rest of the aircraft on part 2. See you over there.